So let me start the recording. I tend to always forget to start the recording, but yes, yes, that is right, Lena. Is that okay?
Yes, that answers my question. Thanks.
Okay, yeah. Happy to help. Okay. Sorry if you're watching the recording. I completely forgot to start the recording. But you guys can feel free to read the slide. I try to make the slide very simple for those of you who are going to watch on the recording. These are the three different types of decay. These are not all the types of radiation, by the way. And if you have any questions and you're watching the recording, feel free to email me. Or just send me a text in the group chat. Okay, but let's talk about half-lives now. To start off, have any of you heard of the term half-life? I'm scrolling through the list. I don't think anybody has heard of the term half-life. Okay, that's okay. I mean, you guys are still young. Half-life is a pretty advanced concept, so I didn't expect anyone to know it. Okay, but the basic concept of half-life is that it is a measurement of time. And half-life, what it measures is the time required for a quantity to reduce to half of its initial value. And that might sound confusing, but let's look at this figure, and hopefully this figure will make it much easier. So let's say that we have this kind of jar of this white substance, and in one half-life, half of this white substance is going to disappear. And
How long is one half-life?
Okay. So I will, that is actually a very good question, John. The half-life of different substances depends on what it is. So I will discuss the kind of implications of half-life later, but let's make sure everyone's on the same page about half-life. But what happens is a substance can undergo radioactive decay, and basically the amount of time that is required for the substance to eliminate half of itself, that is its half-life. So we can see here in the original substance, it is completely white. We don't see that much blue, and the jar is completely filled with white. In one half-life, the jar is only filled halfway with white. And half of the jar is occupied with this blue substance. And now, if we take the half-life of what is left of the white thing, well, then we get this last jar right here. And we see that over time, you're taking half of the white substance every time you go, you take a half-life. So we can see this, here, let me get the annotation out.
I have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
Will it ever all disappear? All be the daughter, or what? All be the daughter.
Right. So this is an interesting question, because theoretically, eventually, so let's talk about in theory. In theory, if you take something and you keep having it like this, it will never actually disappear. It will be infinite, right? If let's say I take a carrot and I cut the carrot in half, and then I cut the carrot in half again, and then I keep on cutting the halves of the carrot in half. You might think that eventually you won't have any carrot left, but you will always be able to, in theory, cut the carrot. It's almost like it's an infinite carrot. You would have to have a really thin knife, and you would have to be cutting down to atoms. But in theory, if you think about it logically, then technically you can cut it an infinite number of times. In practice, though, that's hard. I mean, our knives are not that thin, and it's hard to cut carrot slices that are tiny. The same thing is kind of true here. Eventually, everything in the original substance will decay off. The original substance will undergo radioactive decay, and it will turn into a stable element, and then it will not undergo radioactive decay anymore. However, in theory, this half-life is capable of going on forever. Okay, does that answer your question? So
Yeah.
in reality, it doesn't go on forever, but like if you think about it just with theory and with logic, without acknowledging reality, well, then it goes on forever. But if we actually do it, like if we actually go and we measure it, well, then it's gone, basically. Okay, did that help?
Yeah.
Okay, yes, that was an excellent question, actually. I don't expect, I mean, middle schoolers or elementary school students to be thinking on that kind of level. That's like a high school question, whether or not it's infinite. Excellent question, in fact. Okay, let me clear all these drawings. Does everyone understand the basis of half-life, where you take it and then you cut it in half, and then you cut it in half, and then you cut it in half, and every time you cut it in half, that's one half-life? Is everyone okay with that?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm getting thumbs up and someone just said yes. Glad to hear it. Okay, great. Okay, the annotations are erased. Let me figure out how to zoom out. There we go. Okay. So, let's talk about an element that we use in copious amounts to date a bunch of very old things. One of the things that we can date with uranium-238 is actually the age of the Earth, which is really cool. Hi, Ethan. I started the recording a little bit late, but the slides are up there, and so you should be able to read the radioactive slide. And also feel free to stay after class, and I will be happy to explain what's going on if you don't understand. But we use uranium-238 to date super old rocks, super old, just super old things on Earth. We can use uranium-238 actually to date the Earth itself. And because uranium-238 has a half-life of 4.5 billion years, we can actually estimate the age of the Earth. And I think the estimation is around 4.5, 4.6, somewhere around there. There's a question in the chat. Yes, yeah, that is correct, Ethan. So what happens is, as uranium-238 decays because it is radioactive, it shoots off all these alpha particles, beta particles, whatever. So it goes through all the alpha decay that we talked about a little bit earlier. And really, if we want to talk about alpha decay, we're getting into pretty nitty-gritty stuff. And so if you guys want me to, I'm happy to talk about it, but we won't be able to do it in this class. But feel free to let me know, and I will prepare a class on that as well. But this is something we call a radioactive decay chain. And so over time, as uranium shoots off all of these alpha particles and beta particles, uranium is trying to become stable, which is why it is radioactive, right? Remember, we mentioned that all of these radioactive atoms want to become stable. And so as uranium shoots off all of these alpha particles and beta particles, it turns into different elements because it is losing protons. So we can kind of follow uranium-238 down these steps here. And so it starts off as uranium-238. We know that. But as it goes, you can see it's losing protons, it's losing neutrons. And as it continues to decay, we can see eventually it stops at lead-206. And lead-206 is the stable form of uranium-238. So over time, given one half-life, half of uranium-238 will decay into lead-206. So that is the radioactive decay chain, and that is half-life. A lot of these guys, it takes 4.5 billion years for this half-life of uranium-238 to decay because there are so many intermediate steps. It's like walking like a billion miles or something. You have to go super far from uranium-238 to get all the way to lead-206, which is why it takes so long. And also the process is just slow in and of itself. Okay, any questions, anybody? Oh, I'm still in the annotation mode. Nobody has any questions? Okay, great. Let me get a sip of water. I'm incredibly thirsty. I recently got a water bottle with a friend, and then we were supposed to take our own water bottles, and then he accidentally took mine, so I don't have my water bottle anymore, which is sad. But oh well. Okay. Let's talk about carbon-14 dating. So carbon-14 dating relies on something other than uranium-238. Uranium-238 takes 4.5 billion years to decay away, and no animal has been on the earth for 4.5 billion years. I mean, animals just don't live that long. We just don't. And neither do plants or bacteria or anything. So to date, organisms such as like dead elephants or fossils or mummies or coffins made out of wood or dead plant matter, or did I already say fossils? But anything that was once living, like a tree, like an animal that is now fossilized, like dinosaurs, we can use a certain type of radiocarbon dating. And so to talk about carbon-14 dating, so carbon-14 is present in the biological carbon cycle. Basically, carbon cycles through the food chain. And when organisms are alive, they absorb this carbon and it is kept in their bodies. However, when these organisms die, they stop absorbing carbon-14. And over time, given hundreds of thousands of years, or hundreds of tens or hundreds of years, sorry, this carbon-14 in their body actually decays away. It goes from 50% of the original to 50% of the 50% to 50% of the 50% of the 50% of the original. And so over time, we can see that the carbon-14 in the dead organism actually decreases. And if we can think about if we can kind of find an organism and detect how little carbon-14 is left in the organism, well, then we can tell how old it is. And if carbon-14 has a half-life of 5730, well, then what we can tell is if half of the carbon-14 is left in the organism, well, then we know the organism died 5,700 years ago, about, give or take 40 or so years. And if the organism, say for example, died, let's say died 14,000 years ago, 14,060 years ago, for example, given the 5730, then we will know that it's 50% of the original 50% because it has been 2 half-lives. And so over time, we can see how little carbon-14 is left in the dead body. What's up, Derek?
Wait, so why is each half like the same length? Like, shouldn't like the length get like shorter?
What's up? Could you repeat that question? Sorry.
How come all the half-lives have the same length?
Why do all the half-lives have the same length? Is that your question?
Yeah.
Okay. All the half-lives have the same length because the measure of half-life is not dependent on how long it takes for the amount of carbon-14 to decay from the initial. It is the amount of time it requires for carbon-14 to decay from the amount of carbon-14 in the previous half-life. I know that can be a bit difficult to understand, but I understand where you're coming from with that question, because every time there's less carbon-14, so it would make sense for the half-lives to be shorter, right? Is that what you're saying? Yeah. I understand that's a common misconception. That's a really good question. I think the best answer I can give you right now is to just say that the half-life is 50% of the previous of the previous amount. And there are certain situations where the half-life does actually get shorter, Derek. So that's a very good question. Eventually you will get into high school chemistry and you will learn about something called first order and second order and third order reactions. And with second order and third order, the half-life will actually change. But for the basics of carbon-14 and uranium-238, we kind of just go with the fact that the half-life stays constant. Is that okay, Derek?
Yeah.
Yeah. Eventually you will learn something called second order and third order half-life decay. And that will be very interesting for you since you have posed this question. But that question is going to be something that requires a lot of other knowledge in chemistry, in reaction rates, and in graph reading and statistics. So I don't think I'll be able to accurately explain it, but one day you will understand. But for this, it's easier to just assume half-life stays constant. Okay. Does that help, Derek? Okay, great. Any more questions, anybody? Feel free to bombard me. Okay, well, these last two bullet points I'll go over quickly. So based on the amount of carbon-14 left in the organism, we can tell, or we can get a rough estimate, generally around the time at which it died, and we can figure out the age of the fossil, or the age of the bone, or the age of the dead tree, for example. And the range of carbon-14 is about 500 to 50,000 years old. I thought this range was definitely a little larger, but this is what Britannica said. So, I mean, I trust Britannica more than I trust something that I thought I learned accurately, but okay. Okay, any questions, anybody? Great. Okay. Last week somebody mentioned that they wanted to play Gimkit. I have no idea what Gimkit is, but I went and I set up a Gimkit. And if it doesn't work, well then I'll be a little bit sad. But let me go pull up the Gimkit. Let me share my screen here. There we go. Can everyone see the Gimkit? I'm gonna hit play live. Oh boy. Oh my God.
How do you play GimKit? I never played it before.
What's the join code? I
By
don't
the
know
way,
the code.
Okay.
if you play Trust No, I'm pretty sure Trust No One is basically Among Us, which I hate.
Oh no, I already got to the game code.
Okay.
part.
Everyone mute, please, so I can just figure out what is happening. Okay, so I was told that Gimkit is basically a version of Kahoot or a version of Blookit, but with more fun game modes and still good for kind of educational activities. So I mean, if you guys don't like it, we'll go back to Blookit, we'll go back to Kahoot. But let's
No, I'm already there. So I'm just gonna say you just go inside your browser, you type in GimKit. There's a place, and then you just press the enter game code here, and then you can just enter the game code.
okay.
Yeah.
Here I will send the Gimkit hold on. Okay, wait. Yeah, I'm on like a teacher thing. But all right, here. Let me just start one. We're gonna do Fishtopia. I have no idea what Fishtopia is, so don't ask me. Okay, continue. Okay, great. Go to gimkit.com, gimkit.com/join. Guys, I'm going to throw the link to the Gimkit in the chat. The link to the Gimkit is in the chat, and the code is going to be what I just pasted into the chat. or you can just use the link actually, but the code is also in the chat for those of you who want to
I'm in.
use the code there. Okay, wow. Oh my God. Everyone are these little blob things. Okay, but okay, we have a cat. Okay, great. Oh my. Oh, you can move around. Okay, this is okay. Okay, so we have Jeff, we got John, we got Derek, we got Kat, we got whoever high is, Jeff, we got Ethan, Jacob, with Sarah, Anthony. Okay, does anyone else who wants to join hasn't joined? We have 9 players in right now, and we have 12 people in the call. So okay, now we have 10 players. Great. Does anyone else want to join? Feel free to just unmute and let me know that you're going to be joining in a second. Okay, it doesn't look like it. All right, so you guys can also join late if you guys want. But I'm gonna start it and let's see what's happening. Oh my goodness. Huh. Okay. Okay, so there's a question answering station. You can press enter. And what does radiocarbon dating depend on? Okay, and so if you answer the question correctly, you can go over here and you can throw your fishing rod into the water. And it looks like, okay, and it looks like you can catch fish. Okay, great. Oh, and there's a power shop over there. And there's a fish collection down here. Huh, okay, cool. Huh, it's like an interactive okay. It's like an interactive it's kind of like an interactive quest where it's kind of like, what's that game, like Animal Crossing. Okay, well, this is interesting. I see you guys are all answering questions, so this is good. This is what I wanted to see. Oh, okay, well, this is kind of unfair for me to play. I already know all the answer to the questions. Is there a leaderboard or I can like keep track of you guys?
Yeah, you can see on like the page, like when you posted it.
Okay. Okay, leaderboard. Okay, great. Okay. Well, I will keep an eye on.
Can I see the leaderboard real quick?
Yeah. This is what the leaderboard looks like. Yep. It goes it's John, Jeff, Kat, Anthony, Derek, Jacob, Sarah, Ethan, Hi, Yo Mama, and AC. And actually Anthony is the first one to get some cash. Well done, Anthony. Okay, so bottom left, you can actually sell your fish, and you can buy like cash, or you will get cash for selling your fish. If you go all the way to the right, there is Lucky Lake, and you guys can get upgrades in the power shop.
Can I see the leaderboard again?
Yeah, let me show you the leaderboard. Derek is leading on the leaderboard right now. It goes 14-7-5-1 with Derek, Hi, Anthony, and Yo Mama. I see you guys are all diligently answering questions. Wow. You guys can also participate in the fishing mechanism if you guys want. I mean, I think the fishing thing is pretty cool. Okay. Wait, hold on. Let me turn off my volume here. There we go. Okay, so hold on. Let me test the functionality of this. I just answered a couple questions. I think I got some bait. So now I'm gonna just run over now to the lake, right? Oh. And let's see. Let's run over to the lake. Do I? Oh, okay. Throw my line in. Okay. Oh. Okay. So at some point your backpack gets full and you have to go sell all your fish. I see. All right. Oh, sell all my fish. Great. This is pretty nice. Do you guys think this is better than the Blooket?
Yeah, it's actually kind of fun.
Okay, well that's great. If you guys like it, I'm happy, really.
But like you can see each other.
Okay. Oh, I'm out of bait. Oh boy. All right, let me go sell my
Oh.
fish and see what the deal is. Okay. Oh, look at you guys diligently. Oh,
Wait,
wow.
why is it even
That was
over?
actually kind of short. I didn't expect it to be that short.
Oh, let's go on those first.
Oh, okay. Not bad, you guys. Okay. Okay, this must be me. There's no way you guys all answered 10 questions in total. Okay, well, I'm gonna go back to the lobby. We're actually kind of running out of time with this.
I don't think this game mode. I think this game mode is better for like long games, not for like short games.
Okay. Yeah. It turns out that we're kind of running out of time. So if you guys want to play another one, we can also play the Among Us version if you guys want to play that, or we can look at the other game modes. I'll reset the Zoom, and you guys can feel free to join the Zoom again. But other than that, if you guys don't intend on playing another game, that's fine. I hope you guys learned a lot, enjoyed the class. And for those of you who do want to play again, I will see you back in about 10 or so seconds. Okay, bye everyone. Have a good week, y'all.
Bye.
Bye-bye.